Hello everyone, and welcome back to another session of Dark Souls 3 Focused PvP. So today we are going to start things off with a bit of post-commentary, as opposed to live commentary, and there's a reason for that. So today we are talking about salt. Salty salt. As some have joked, the source of my power, the actual things growing out of my crystalline helmet. The reason that a lot of you have been leaving such wonderful comments on the channel. Now, first off, salt. As much as we love it on our fries, it's not healthy. Well, not the healthiest thing ever. It's required. That said, I'm not a salty individual. A lot of you guys realize this, a lot of you guys know this, but some of you don't seem to understand that. So, first off, when a lot of you are saying that I'm salty, I'm nowhere close at all. It's kind of funny that you're actually even considering me complaining about something in the game as me being salty. Now, with this game, it's a game by From Software. So first off, at launch, it doesn't have the best PvP because that's not their primary focus. They sort of shift things towards that later in the life and throughout the game's life, and that's fine. That's what they've always done. However, when I complain about certain things, one example being every weapon with spin, bash, slash, and sweep. Spin, sweep, slash, and bash. Sounds better that way in my opinion. When I complain about those sorts of things, they're not necessarily unwarranted complaints. I've accepted the game for the way that it is, but that doesn't mean that I have to feel like it's the perfect creation, because there are always things that can be improved. Looking at you, Dark Souls 2 Ice Rapier. That said, just because I've accepted something doesn't mean I can't list my opinion on it, complain about it in some way, or state how I feel like it could be better, which is exactly what I've done with a lot of things in this game. And if we actually just take a look at the most recent patch, guess what was removed? 4-hit guaranteed stun locks from weapons that have spin, sweep, slash, and bash. Shocking that something that I thought was unbalanced got removed. This isn't an I told you so, it's just that it means someone somewhere along the line at From Software thought the same exact thing. They had the same opinion, and that's just it. It's an opinion. Just because I have an opinion on something doesn't mean that my word is law. Far from it. Everyone's welcome to come in and discuss, join the conversation. However, just saying, oh, you're salty, get good, that doesn't do the job. That doesn't make for a good comment or a good conversation, especially when I'm not salty about it. So, you actually think that I'm salty, just take a second, re-listen to what I'm saying, and think, okay, is he actually salty, or does he have a valid complaint? Is it something that he's just letting go of, or something he's holding on to and mentioning over and over and over for one particular instance over the course of 15 minutes or something like that? If I dwell on something, if I dwell on a particular fight, then sure, I'm salty about it. Otherwise, not so much. It's something that I mention in passing and move on to the next thing. Does that make me salty about it? No, and that's the point I'm getting at. Now, one comment in particular that stuck out to me actually was when I was fighting an opponent who was using the Dragon Twin Spears. And it was more than one comment on it, in fact, it was actually quite a few of them. But one in particular stuck out to me because he said, you complain about him being spammy and blah blah blah, but it's a spear, so what do you expect? Now, I'm not saying that it was spammy, or a weapon like that is spammy due to the fact that it's limited in what types of attacks it can do, being thrusting attacks. I'm saying that it has the ability to be spammy due to the fact that when two-handed, when using both at once, you have the option to do rolling L1s just like Goddard's Twin Swords. And as we all know, that can be spammy. In addition to that, it is a spear, so it's got longer reach, and in addition to that, even still, that means all attacks that it's got will work with a Leo Ring. Needless to say, it can be spammy. The fight that I'm referencing with this, though, the time that I'm referencing, I never said that the guy using it was spammy. I said that this weapon can be spammy. I never said the guy using it was. but people assumed that that meant I was complaining about him, the playstyle he used, and that I was insinuating that he was spamming. He was using a decent little combo. It was an R1, L1 combo. He threw in a few other R1s, and he threw in an R2. That's not spam. I never claimed that it was. All I said is that the weapon has the potential to be that way. A lot of weapons have that potential. It's not really a shock. It all comes down to the playstyle. So, now for a slight conversation on playstyle, moving on. As far as playstyle is concerned, yes, some weapons do encourage a certain playstyle, and that's all well and good. And yes, it's perfectly fine to see someone using a playstyle and learn from it, but not every playstyle matches every single individual. And for some reason, people are having this idea in their heads with this, that in order to be successful with certain weapons, you need to clone a person's playstyle. That's not quite true. Take, for example, the fights right now. I'm using an S-stock, but I'm using the R2s, the skills, and I'm using it two-handed. How often do you see that? This is how I use the S-stock. It's the playstyle I personally like to go for. Sure, I go for a few R1s in a row on occasion, but that's because there's a guaranteed two-hit stun or something along those lines. You know, it's all how you use the weapon. It's all how the playstyle is. If someone's using a weapon in a different way, that fight sticks out. It feels like a different fight, instead of fighting the same 5 people over and over and over. It adds variety to the game, while still sticking with the meta weapons. But, again, the point of me doing these videos, guys, in case you didn't know, the point of them is to showcase weapons, to show that non-meta weapons are viable, to show that they can be used successfully, and in fact with a great deal of success in a lot of occasions in PvP, which is kind of the point of me using the following weapon, which will start shortly. That said, post-commentary, I'd like to have it synced up properly, but I'm not going to bother editing it, just because, screw it, just so you guys get a video sooner. So, really, you know, it is what it is. That's really what it comes down to. Basically, what I'm saying here is, as far as the salt is concerned, there's the weapon I'm talking about. As far as the salt is concerned, 99% of the time I'm not salty. Listing a complaint that is, in my opinion, valid, and then moving past it, doesn't make me salty. If I were to dwell on it, then yes, I would agree with you. Wholeheartedly, I would. But, can you think of one particular moment in any of my videos where I've done that? It's a rare moment. It doesn't happen often. So, needless to say, sorry you guys, but you're kind of wrong. A lot of you are kind of wrong. So, again, it is what it is. Now, with playstyles, going back to that topic, any weapon can be used with any playstyle. There's a lot of different kinds you can choose from. In this game, it's still relatively new, and a lot of new players have been brought in, so they're still finding their playstyle. So yes, there will be a lot of R1 spam at this time. Does that mean that they're bad players? At the moment, maybe. But in a lot of cases, that means that they're also new, and they're still learning the game, learning how to get decent at it, learning what they like as far as weapon choice, playstyle choice, and all of the stuff that goes with that. For example, guys, take Fighting Cowboy. Now, huge shout out to him, he's a great dude, and a lot of you guys remember him from his Dark Souls 2 videos. At the launch, when he was started to do those videos, the two of us didn't really see eye to eye, because he was still newer at the game, and he thought it was just one of those games where you just have to become as powerful as possible in order to be good at the game, because that's what he was exposed to prior to coming into the community. But after he'd been in it for a while, he learned. He learned, he practiced, he got better, and he can use some really obscure weapons in these games and be very successful with them. It's a matter of putting in effort to learning how to use something that's not necessarily the easiest. Once you do that, once you find something that you like that's along those lines, you can do a lot of work in these games. You can get nice combos like the one that I just got on this guy. L2 into 2 R1s. He didn't expect it. He didn't expect the skill. It's not a common weapon that I'm using at the moment. Good reason for it. It's not the greatest halberd in the class at all. However, you can do some good work with it still. despite its lack of R2 attacks, it does have the ability to cast spells. If I were on a build that could actually cast spells while using it right now, then you have some interesting utilities you can use with it. Far and Flash Sword, for example. That would be a really good choice of spell to use with this weapon. Far and Flash Sword gains the length of the staff it's casted from, as well as gaining the stamina usage of what would be a Staff Smack, or in this case, an R1. Needless to say, it's got extremely long reach, some good damage, but it drains a lot of stamina. Does that mean it's a bad combination? No. Does that make the weapon bad? No. Split damage, in a way, makes the weapon subpar. However, you can still do some really good work with it. It's still a really fun weapon to use, and that's something that I value personally. That's why I don't use a lot of meta weapons, aside from the fact that I try and show off non-meta weapons and how successful they can be. I like weapons that are fun to use. It's just something that I've always done. If it's a weapon that is fun, then it's fun. If it's something I enjoy, then it's something I enjoy. That said, not everyone enjoys the same weapons. If your playstyle doesn't fit a weapon, and it doesn't, work with you, then you won't enjoy the weapon, and you'll go for something different, and that's perfectly fine. Just because someone has a different playstyle than you do, doesn't mean they're any better or worse at the game, despite the fact that some playstyles can in fact be cheesy. In some cases, yes, it can be a clue as to their skill level. In some cases. It's not exclusive though. So, at the end of the day, again, it is what it is. It's something that we just have to accept. So, again, the salt thing. Can you guys sort of see my point now that I've explained it a little bit more? Now that I've taken the time, explained my mentality on everything. Do you guys see where I'm coming from? Sure, some things are worth getting salty over, but most of it's not, in my opinion. Sure, I do complain about some certain things in the game, but one of my biggest complaints was actually patched out. And a lot of the others, it's stuff that I've already come to accept. Does that mean I'll stop complaining about them and making my opinion known on that fact? No, not at all. However, now that you guys have, been sort of explained, that's not the proper term, educated maybe, although that sounds pretentious. Even saying that sounds pretentious, but hey, again, it is what it is. You guys see where I'm coming from, I'm sure. Some of you out there do. Some of you are probably just going to see this video and you're going to ignore it, just say, screw that guy, he doesn't know what he's talking about. But, again, maybe some of you, even still, some of you people who have yet to be mentioned, maybe some of you will understand where I'm coming from. You'll sort of see my point of view on the matter, and we'll come to an understanding. And I'd like that. I really would. So, I really don't have much else to say, so I'm just gonna actually let things go from here. I'll add some music into the video and let you guys enjoy watching the rest of it. I had a couple of great fights while using this weapon. Sorry for no live commentary on the end after this, but finally, last thing I've got to say, it is what it is. Anyway guys, enjoy the rest of the video. Thank you for watching up to this point, and I'll see you all in the next.